We are Southeastern 16. I'm Chase Robinson. That is Chris Lee. And our question today, what needs to be Arkansas's biggest improvement? We've seen them in 2 games now, and the Razorbacks showing a little promise there in the first half of the Oklahoma State game. We'll dive into Arkansas in just a second, but first let's talk about our friends at BetOnline. They're the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. If you think you know your stuff, you can get in on a $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, you can go to the online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker or one of the over 150 slots games. Head over to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. All right, Chris, starting with the Arkansas Razorbacks, what needs to be the biggest improvement to you as you look at this Arkansas team?
Well, I think just don't beat yourself. That was the frustrating thing about watching the Oklahoma State game. It felt like Arkansas was the better team, but penalties, turnovers, it was 3 turnovers to 1. The penalty number I don't have in front of me, but it wasn't great. Just their record in close games under Sam Pittman hasn't been good, but I think what you want to do, you want to bottle the good stuff that you saw, and you want to start taking out the things that are unnecessary. I think Arkansas is going to get better, but I just don't want to see them get to the end of the season and say, man, you had a chance to win a lot of games, but you beat yourself. Just play smart football, because I think the talent here is good. It's better than I thought. I mean, their offense, Chase, is almost appointment TV with Taylon Green and JaQuinden Jackson and Bobby Petrino. It has worked out every bit as well as I think Razorback fans would have hoped. But what cost you that game? Look in the mirror, Arkansas. You watched it. You saw it. Don't go do that again.
Yeah, and I think that's big to really focus on yourself and get better. Like I think this is a good Arkansas team offensively, and yeah, adding Bobby Petrino, it looked a world of difference offensively on Saturday.
Yeah. Number 2, related to their offense, and you look down the schedule, and I think they're a whole lot more interesting than I would have thought going into the season. Like, one of the games I'm now circling is that shootout they're going to have with Tennessee. And if you want to look down the road, Ole Miss, I think Arkansas is good enough to win some games now and maybe even pull some upsets that nobody was talking about before the season. I'm looking to my right to the schedule. They'll beat UAB. I think they got a good shot at Auburn. A&M, neutral site, who knows? Tennessee, again, I think going to be more competitive than you think. LSU, not unwinnable. At Mississippi State, very winnable. Ole Miss, Texas, going to be tough. But then you finish up even at Missouri, right after you play Louisiana Tech, which should be a blowout. It's not completely unwinnable if this offense is as good as it's looked. But here's the thing, Chase. I look at Tennessee and Ole Miss in particular, and they're going to do a lot of the same stuff that Arkansas is doing. Tempo, just, pass you to death, all the things that we know about those offenses. Does Arkansas have the talent to go toe-to-toe with those guys playing their game and beating them at it? I don't know about that. I've got some questions, maybe, but here's what I'm doing. You got a running back in JaQuinden Jackson, who I picked up in our little fantasy football competition last week, and we only roster and play 10 guys every week. So you got to be an elite guy to get on our draft radar. And he was outstanding against Oklahoma State. I thought he was very underrated coming in from Utah. Maybe when you're playing Tennessee and maybe when you're playing Ole Miss and some of these teams that might have more talent than you've got, you want to slow them down, keep their offense off the field. One thing Arkansas did very well last week against Oklahoma State, I believe, was dominate time of possession. So I think maybe you use him. Maybe you don't play quite as fast. You get in a lower play type game and use that as a switch you were willing to flip against certain opponents just to throw them off their game. And I think you got the goods in JaQuinden Jackson maybe to pull that off.
I think he's a game changer. I really do for Arkansas. I think that he can provide some big things for the Razorbacks. What I would say, kind of the third thing for us, and is on the defensive side, and just the defense be good enough. Like, What we saw in the first half of the Oklahoma State game, huge. I mean, they didn't allow a single point for Oklahoma State in the first quarter. Gave up 7 points in the second quarter, 6 points in the third quarter. I said, okay, this defense it's way better than I thought. But then the fourth quarter came, and they gave up 18 points to Oklahoma State in the fourth quarter. And so, one, you got to maintain the intensity that defense does through the whole game. You can't let up. And I know the other team is going to make adjustments and try to exploit some things, but still maintain that level of intensity all throughout the game. Because I'm telling you, that first quarter and part of the second quarter, I was in awe of this defense. It was solid, rock solid. But then they started making some plays, and then it turned into an 18-point fourth quarter. And so maintaining the intensity defensively all throughout the game, I think, will be huge for Arkansas. Again, I was impressed. They have got some talent. They have got some dudes there on the defensive side of the ball. They just got to play at a high level for the entire game. And I think that could be a huge if the defense is able to give the offense some momentum as well on this Arkansas team, I think that could be huge. I like their defense. I think they're in a good spot if they can maintain that intensity all throughout the game.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stat sheet from the Oklahoma State game, and I'm asking myself, was their defense good enough? First downs, 21. Yeah, probably good enough or close, because it was a double overtime game. Turnovers, that they got an interception. You'd like to do a little bit better, but not bad. But here's what I like: 6.8 yards per pass, 2.3 yards per rush. That's going to be good enough to win a lot of games on their schedule, given who they're playing. And I think I like the way you phrase it. Arkansas's defense doesn't have to be elite with the offensive talent it has. It just has to be good enough. And through two games, it's certainly been that.
Yeah, I mean, they put the goose egg up against Arkansas. Pine Bluff didn't allow a point, and then, like I mentioned, great first half last week. Just lost the momentum there, but I think if they could be good enough, then it'll be a good season for the Razorbacks defense. We'll have you covered on all things Arkansas and the rest of the SEC here on Southeastern 16. So hit that subscribe button and subscribe to our channel. Like this video, share it with your friends, all of you Arkansas fans. Drop a comment as well. And hey, if you'd be interested in advertising with us here on Southeastern 16, you can send an email to caroline.smith at southeastern14.com, and we can begin those conversations on sponsoring our content. We bring you SEC football, basketball, and baseball content daily here on the channel. So like and subscribe. We will do it again as we get you ready for another week of college football. For Chris Lee, I'm Chase Robinson. We are Southeastern 16, presented to you by BetOnline.